My name is Sarah. I am 35 years old, and my life is a story of love and struggle, of tears and tiny victories. I am a mother. That is the most important thing about me. I have 3 children. Lily is 10, Ethan is 8, and little Chloe is just 4 years old. They are my sun, my moon, and all the stars in my sky. They are my reason for everything. Life has not been gentle with me. It has thrown storms and darkness at my door more times than I can count. My own mother, she was a strong woman, but life was hard on her too. She passed away when I was only 18, just as I was starting to understand what it meant to be an adult. It felt like the ground beneath my feet disappeared. She was my anchor, my guide, my best friend. Losing her, it was like losing a part of myself. Then I met David. He was charming. He was funny. He told me he loved me with a passion that swept me off my feet. I was young, vulnerable, and longing for love. We married quickly, and for a while, it felt like a fairy tale. We built a life together. We dreamed of a future filled with happiness and children. And then our children came. Lily, then Ethan, then Chloe. Each one a miracle, each one a tiny piece of heaven sent to earth. Holding them in my arms for the first time, feeling their soft skin against mine, looking into their innocent eyes, it was a love I had never known, a love that filled every corner of my heart. But as our family grew, David changed. The charming, loving man slowly faded away, replaced by someone distant, cold, and often angry. He worked long hours. He came home tired and stressed, and he took his frustrations out on me. Words became sharp, arguments became frequent, and the love we once shared seemed to wither and die. When Chloe was just a baby, barely a year old, David left. Just like that. One morning, he packed a bag, said he couldn't do this anymore, and walked out the door. He didn't look back. He didn't call. He didn't send money. He simply vanished from our lives, leaving me alone to pick up the pieces, to raise our 3 children by myself. It was like being thrown into the deep end of the ocean without knowing how to swim. I was terrified. I was heartbroken. I was angry. But most of all, I was determined. Determined to survive, determined to protect my children, determined to give them the best life I possibly could, even if it meant facing the world alone. I have no family nearby to help me. My mother was gone, my father lived far away, and had his own struggles. David's family, they were never really part of our lives. And after he left, they disappeared completely. It was just me and my 3 little ones against the world. We live in a small, simple apartment. It's not fancy, it's not big, but it's our home. It's safe, it's warm, and it's filled with love, even when times are tough. Every month, the rent is due. Every month, I feel a knot of worry tighten in my stomach. Will I have enough? Will I be able to make it? I don't have a good job, not in the way some people might think of a good job. I didn't go to college. I didn't have the chance. Life took a different path for me. My job is cleaning. I clean houses, offices, sometimes even shops. It's hard work. It's tiring work. And it doesn't pay much. But it's honest work. And it's what keeps us going. I work long hours, often early mornings and late evenings, fitting my cleaning jobs around school hours and childcare. Sometimes I feel like I'm running on empty, like I have nothing left to give. But then I look at my children's faces, their bright smiles, their trusting eyes, and I find strength I didn't know I had. I am strong. I have to be. For them. I never give up. I can't afford to. Giving up is not an option when you have 3 little lives depending on you. I work even when I'm exhausted, even when I'm sick, even when I just want to curl up in bed and cry. Because I know that if I don't work, we won't eat. We won't have a roof over our heads. Sometimes, late at night, after the children, are asleep. I sit in the quiet darkness, just listening to their soft breathing. I go into their rooms and watch them sleep. Lily, so grown up now, with her long hair spread out on the pillow. Ethan, always restless, even in sleep, his brow furrowed, even in dreams. And little Chloe, my baby, so small and innocent, her tiny hand clutching her teddy bear. They are so peaceful when they sleep, so beautiful. Looking at them, my heart aches with love, a love so fierce it takes my breath away. I gently touch their small hands, kiss their foreheads, and whisper, "I love you. I will always take care of you, I promise." I want to give them a good life. I want them to be happy. I want them to have opportunities, chances I never had. I want them to grow up feeling loved, feeling safe, feeling secure. But life, as I said, is hard. Sometimes, heartbreakingly hard. One evening, it was a cold, rainy night, the kind of night that chills you to the bone. I had finished a long day of cleaning, and I was walking home, hurrying to get back to my children. The wind was howling, the rain was lashing down, and the streets were slick with water. I was thinking about dinner, wondering if I had enough food to make a proper meal, worrying about the electricity bill that was due next week. My mind was full of worries, heavy with responsibilities. I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. And then, it happened. I slipped. On a patch of ice I hadn't seen. My feet went out from under me and I fell hard, landing awkwardly on my arm. A sharp, searing pain shot through my body. I cried out, more from shock than anything else. Lay there on the cold pavement, the rain soaking through my thin coat, the wind whipping around me. My arm throbbed with pain. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. My arm felt broken, useless. Panic started to rise in my chest. My children, they were waiting for me at home. Who would take care of them? What would happen to them if I couldn't? Work? Tears mixed with the rain on my face. I felt utterly helpless, completely alone. A kind stranger, a woman walking her dog, saw me fall. She rushed over to help, calling for an ambulance. Soon, flashing lights filled the street, and paramedics were gently lifting me onto a stretcher. Everything became a blur of sirens, voices, and bright lights. I woke up in a hospital bed. The white ceiling, the beeping machines, the smell of antiseptic. It was all too familiar, too cold, too sterile. My arm was in a cast, throbbing with a dull ache. My head felt fuzzy, and my body was stiff and sore. Then, the memory of the fall came rushing back. The ice, the pain, the panic, my children. Where were they? Who was taking care of them? Fear gripped me, cold and tight. A nurse came in, seeing that I was awake. She smiled kindly, her eyes gentle. "Don't try to move too much, Sarah," she said softly. "You've had a fall. You've broken your arm." "My children," I whispered, my voice hoarse and weak. "Where are my children? Are they okay?" The nurse's smile widened. "They are here," she said. "They are safe. They are waiting to see you." Relief washed over me, so intense it almost made me faint. Tears welled up in my eyes. Tears of relief, of gratitude, of exhaustion. A few minutes later, the door opened, and 3 small figures rushed into the room. "Mama!" they cried, their voices filled with worry and love. Lily, Ethan, and Chloe. They ran to my bedside, hugging me gently, holding my hand, kissing my face. "Mama, are you okay? We were so scared." I started crying then, real tears, tears of release. I held them close as tightly as I could with my one good arm. "I'm okay now," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "Mama's okay. You're safe. We're all together." The doctor came in, his expression serious. He examined my arm, looked at my charts, and then turned to me. "You have a bad fracture, Sarah," he said. "You will need surgery and a long time to heal. You won't be able to work for at least 2 months. 2 months, 2 months without work, 2 months without income. Panic flared again, hotter and stronger than before. But I have to work, I stammered, my voice trembling. I have rent to pay, food to buy, my children. The doctor's face softened, his eyes filled with sympathy. I understand, Sarah, he said gently, but you need to rest. You need to heal. You can't work like this. I knew he was right, but knowing it didn't make it any easier. How would we survive? How would we manage? Fear threatened to overwhelm me, to drown me in despair. Then, the hospital administrator came in. He looked grave, his face tight with concern. Ms. Sarah, he said, his voice formal, there's been an issue. Regarding your medical bills? My heart sank. Of course. Medical bills. Something else I couldn't afford. I don't have insurance, I whispered, shame and dread washing over me. I don't know how I'm going to pay. It's not just that, he said, his voice low. It's about the accident itself. Apparently you fell on private property, and the owner is claiming damages for negligence and for medical expenses for himself. My mind went blank. Damages? Negligence? Private property? I was just walking home. I slipped on ice. How could this be happening? How could things get any worse? He's asking for a lot of money, Miss Sarah, the administrator continued, his voice barely audible. A very large sum, tens of thousands of dollars, and if you can't pay. He didn't need to finish the sentence. I understood. Lawsuits, debts, maybe even losing everything. Our little apartment, our simple life, everything I had worked so hard to build, everything I was fighting so desperately to protect, it was all crumbling around me. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't hold them back anymore. I covered my face with my good hand and sobbed, deep, heart-wrenching sobs that shook my whole body. My daughters, seeing my distress, started to cry too. We were all crying together, a small island of despair in the sterile white room. I felt lost, utterly, completely lost, hopeless, broken, like there was no way out, no light at the end of the tunnel, only darkness and despair stretching out before me. But then, something unexpected happened. Something that changed everything. Something that reminded me that even in the darkest of times, even when hope seems lost, miracles can still happen. The next day, a different nurse came to my room. She had a bright smile on her face, and she was holding a stack of papers. "Sarah," she said, her voice cheerful, "you have visitors, and some, well, just see for yourself." Confused, I watched as the door opened. And then, I couldn't believe my eyes. People. Lots of people. People I didn't know. People holding flowers, balloons, gifts. People with kind faces and warm smiles. They filled the room, overflowing into the hallway. They were strangers, but they weren't. They were people who had heard my story, people who had read about my accident, my struggles, my love for my children, people who had been touched by my story, moved by my pain, inspired by my strength. My story had spread on the internet, on social media, in the news. People all over the world had read about Sarah, the single mother, the cleaning lady, the woman who had fallen on the ice, the mother who was facing impossible challenges. And they had responded with kindness, with generosity, with love. Kind people had sent money, small amounts, large amounts, every donation a tiny spark of hope in my darkness. They wanted to help. They wanted to make a difference. They wanted to show me that I wasn't alone. Then, a young man stepped forward. He was tall, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He came to my bedside, knelt down beside me, and took my hand. "Sarah," he said, his voice deep and warm. "My name is Michael. I heard your story, and I want to help you." I stared at him, tears blurring my vision. "Help me?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "But why? Who are you?" He smiled again, a reassuring, gentle smile. "You don't know me," he said, "but I know you, and I know you deserve help. You deserve a break. You deserve a miracle." And that's exactly what he gave me, a miracle. Over the next few days, Michael and his team, a group of incredible, compassionate people, took care of everything. They paid my hospital bills. They dealt with the insurance company. They even negotiated with the owner of the private property, settling the damages claim, paying everything, making it all disappear. I didn't have to worry anymore about the bills, about the debts, about the lawsuits. The weight that had been crushing me, the fear that had been suffocating me, it lifted, it vanished, replaced by disbelief, gratitude, and a glimmer of hope. But that wasn't all. Michael and his team, they didn't just solve my immediate problems. They wanted to give us a fresh start, a real chance at a better life. One day, they came to the hospital and said, "Sarah, we have a surprise for you and your daughters." They took us to a new place. We drove for a while, and then we stopped in front of a house. Not an apartment, a house. A real house, with a garden and a porch and space. So much space. It was beautiful, warm and inviting, painted in soft colors, surrounded by trees and flowers. "This is for you," Michael said, smiling, his eyes shining. "This is your new home." I stared at him, speechless. For me?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. "For us?" "Yes," he said. "You don't have to pay rent anymore, Sarah. This house, it's yours. It belongs to you and your daughters. It's your home." My knees buckled. I sank to the ground, overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streamed down my face again, but these were different tears. Tears of joy, tears of gratitude, tears of disbelief. My daughters knelt beside me, hugging me, crying with me, their small faces shining with happiness. "Is this real?" I asked, my voice choked with emotion. "Is this really happening?" "Yes, Sarah," Michael said, gently helping me to my feet. "This is real. You have a home, a safe, beautiful home. You deserve it." I held my daughters close, wrapping my arms around them, feeling their warmth, their love, their presence. "We have a home," I whispered to them, my voice thick with emotion. "We really have a home." Later, after we had moved into our new house, after the whirlwind of emotions had settled a little, Michael came to visit. He sat with me in our new living room, sunlight streaming through the windows, my children playing happily in the garden. "Sarah," he said, his voice thoughtful, "what is your biggest dream? Now that you have a home, now that you have a fresh start, what do you want to do with your life?" I wiped my tears. Tears of happiness this time, not sadness. I looked at him, my heart filled with gratitude and hope. "My biggest dream," I said, smiling through my tears. I want to open a small cafe, a place where people can come for good food, for warmth, for kindness. A place like you have created for us." Michael smiled, his eyes lighting up. "Then let's make it happen," he said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Let's make your dream come true." And he did. With his help and the help of his amazing team, my dream became a reality. A few months later, I opened my own little cafe. Sarah's Sunshine Cafe, I called it, a place filled with warmth, light, and delicious food. It had fresh coffee, homemade pastries, and hearty meals. It had warm smiles and friendly faces. It had happy customers who came back again and again, not just for the food, but for the atmosphere, for the feeling of community, for the sunshine that filled the room. I was no longer a struggling cleaning lady. I was no longer a mother living in constant fear and worry. I was a businesswoman. I was strong. I was independent. I was happy. truly happy. I will never forget Michael and all the kind people who helped us. They changed my life. They taught me something incredibly important, that even in the darkest world, there is still light. There are still kind people. There are still miracles. You just have to believe and never, ever lose hope. I started with nothing. Less than nothing, really. But now I have everything. A home, a thriving business, and most importantly, a happy, healthy, loving family. And it's all thanks to the kindness of strangers, the power of hope, and the unbreakable love I have for my children. Thank you, my dear subscribers, for listening to my story. Your support means the world to me. I hope this story touched your heart. Remember, no matter how hard life gets, kindness and hope can change everything. Stay strong, believe in good people, and never lose faith in a better tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional and inspiring stories coming soon. Take care, and see you in the next story.